Good afternoon. What a lovely day here on the beautiful Gold Coast. Today I want to have a talk about relationships. I'm sure you guys will relate to what I'm saying about relationships with somebody that you're attracted to. We initially start out with an attraction in partners that we're attracted to, and that attraction, as you're well aware, motivates us to want more of that person, and we pursue that, hopefully, and we hope that the person that we're attracted to is reciprocated to feel the same as us. And if they do, well, bingo, we've got some action happening here. Hallelujah! Yeah! Finally! How good does it feel when we've wanted this connection in our life and we've desired it so much to get it, and bang, we have it. And it's great. We're so happy. We're so fulfilled. We're so excited that whatever is within us is potentially going to be soothed through these relationships. Geez, it feels good. It's sensational when we meet that person. And remember, when that happens, nothing else matters, does it? You don't even look at anybody else after it. You're so in the moment with that person. Nothing else matters one bit. You're not even looking at anybody. It's a great feeling. It's an enormous feeling when we first meet somebody after being single for a period of time, and bingo, that endorphins and the serotonin and all those chemicals are flooding the bod, and bingo, we got it. We got it. Sweet. Happy days. And it's in the honeymoon stage, and it's all beautiful, and it's all loving, and doing things together, caring, thoughtful, considerate, buying things for them. They're number one. And you're number one. And oh my God, what a honeymoon. Sensational, isn't it? It's great. Absolutely great. And we hang out with them more, and we plan things together, and you see a future. Oh my God, you know, that dream person has come. I can see myself growing old, and never again I'm going to have to be single, and I'm in love, and I finally got it, and life looks good from that position. I know you can relate. I know you can relate. So after a period of time of maybe moving in with them or spending time together, you start seeing things within them, their behaviours. And these little behaviours, they niggle you a little bit at first. You start to see the real person, yeah? And that's a little bit different to the honeymoon stage, yeah? Or to the initial stage where, my God, how great is this attraction? Finally, they feel the same way as me. Greatness. So this little thing starts creeping in. Start to get to know them. And hey, they start to get to know you. They're doing the same. And then the work starts. The real stuff starts wanting to be applied, to be worked at. It's requiring something more than that initial physical attraction and the honeymoon stage. It's requiring more. And you start seeing their insecurities and they start seeing your insecurities. But when it starts to require more, I think you'll agree that's in communication, yeah? That these little things that are annoying you and that's annoying them, it's about communication between two people. And that's going to test to see if you can be intimate in communication. And if the communication is not being understood from both sides and both sides aren't understanding each other with the way they feel, and to mend and understand each other, what happens? Bit of conflict in there. So how do you deal with that conflict? Well, usually that's where separation starts, in the early stages of relationships. When you can't reach each other from an emotional position, then the intimacy can't grow. And we all want the intimacy. So how can people come into these relationships and work these relationships effectively if they don't see their past damage or struggle with their own intimacy? How can you be intimate with somebody else when you can't see what you can't reach in your soul to be intimate? Now, I'll give you an example of that. You know, when you've been hurt in the past, or when you've struggled in the past, or when you've had a hard time in the past, or when you've gone through pain in the past, and your feelings have really been hurt. And what do? Generally, when our feelings are hurt, we want to protect our emotions. This is what everybody does. They want to protect their emotions through past hurts. And we can do that in a number of ways. We can be very analytical, we can use drugs, we can gamble, we can eat too much food, we can shop too much, we can avoid people, we can lie, we can do many things to cover up that pain. So when we get into these relationships, it's that level of intimacy that needs to connect. with each other. If you have not seen that prior to getting into the relationship, which is going to require that level of connection, ultimately, after the initial attraction, after the honeymoon stage, it's going to require this connection. And that's what all humans want, and that's what all humans seek, because there's a level of freedom in that. And it's so beautiful to get that. We just daydream about it. We imagine it. We love it. We want it. We want it. It's just beautiful to have that level of freedom where you're really safe with each other. And you're not going to hurt them, and they're not going to hurt you, and they're going to understand you, and they're going to respect you on that level. So how do we see that within ourselves prior to getting in relationships if you're single? Well, I'll cover both. How do we see it within ourselves when we're single? You've got to look at yourself. You've got to deal with your pain. You can't blame people for it. Yes, we've all had hard times, we've all had struggle, but you've got to be actually motivated to reach that within yourself independently and get back to that. And only you can drive that motivation to get back to that, to your feelings. Deal with those feelings. How do you deal with those feelings? Number one, don't blame people for it. That's really important. Number two, you've got to express them. You've got to get to them. You've got to cry. You've got to look at them. You've got to talk about them. You've got to need help with them. So that's what you can do individually. In a relationship, if it's not gelling there from two people that have got damage done, and I know you'll be able to relate to this. Everyone has damage done coming to relationships, and that's the struggle at that level of intimacy. So how can you connect with each other and keep the relationship moving forward for the long term that you want with your partner? How can you do that without one partner going this way and the other partner going that way? How can you do that? Well, somewhere along the line, one party or both parties have to know that's the level that they need to arrive at to get the goodness to stay together. Because this separation is just an inadequacy of dealing with past hurt and pain. That's all it is. So the way a couple can do that is to see that it is their past pain that each one of them has brought to this juncture, this relationship. And it's not the other person. It's not your partner's fault on both sides. It's so easy to blame your partners in relationships. So easy. But blaming is not going to heal your past pain. Past pain can only be healed by understanding each other. And if you can't get there, then you're just going to blame. And you're going to attack. Because you've got a core wound within you that you cannot heal independently. And they come up in relationships because relationships require that deepness of love. And that's what everybody wants. And that's the core of real love. The core of real love is getting to a place within yourself where you have done a lot of work on your damaged emotions and your struggles. What happened to you as a kid? What's happened to all your disappointments? All your rejections, all your fears. or your inadequacies, or your pain from your family, pain from past relationships. That stuff needs to be healed. And you can do that when you are in a relationship if you understand now that that's your point of reference to mend your current relationship that you're in if you're struggling with each other. That's your point right there. And a lot of people can't even get there because of past pain. But they're not, most people aren't happy not being in love with somebody. They can say that they're okay with it, but everybody wants love. There's not a person who walks this earth that doesn't want a connection with somebody and who wants to experience love in a connection. It's worthless being independent. And remember that before you get into a relationship. You can be independent as much as you want. You can have it all together. You can have a good business. You can have good status in society. You can have a professional career. You can be academically successful. You can have all of that. But that won't amount to anything if you don't go in and fix your pain. Usually all that stuff is an extension of pain. We get motivated to be that on the outside. You know, I'll show you, I'll be this. I'll be somebody. That's true, that's pain, and it's a good thing to be motivated by. But we can work on that singly, or we can work on that in a relationship. So I hope I've given you, I know I've given you some kind of insight to it. That's the point of reference. Work on yourself without blaming other people. And have a great weekend and stay tuned for the next talk.